Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Just a little bit more about the evolution of your career.
For the ripe old age of 24, I went into burnout.
Now, oftentimes being a double minority, you don't have the living room, locker room factor.
That's because I tell folks, hey, you never know where your journey's going to take you.
I'd come from working at Accenture doing IT consulting.
Wow.
And this was really a humbling experience to make 150 cold calls every day.
The need is spectacular, and there's nobody doing it.
As a society, we don't give enough credit to these different experiences we have. We want to make everything make sense.
Am I going to be grateful for everything that I do have, or am I going to focus on everything that I don't have?
I love helping people to see a vision come to life, but is this the best way for me to help people?
And I was like, you know what? I don't think I should be unhappy like this.
Tough people are greater than tough times.
And not everything's going to make sense, and that's okay. To the point that you're saying is where we really do, we build on these things that happen to us in life. You are such a great example of that. So let's dig into your story a little bit more. Hey friends, welcome to Greater Than Live. I am Jen Hoverstead, and I'm so glad you are here. It's been a couple of weeks since we had the chance to chat. And for those of you who are new to the concept of Greater Than is a podcast you can find on Apple Podcasts that shares encouraging stories from around the world of people who have tackled life's toughest challenges. But during the pandemic, I've been bringing you Greater Than Live to give you just a little bit of what's going on in my head, some of the things that are encouraging me, and certainly I hope will encourage you. Now, we are going live on YouTube right now, as well as Facebook and maybe LinkedIn. I'm not sure. LinkedIn, you might be getting a recording of this because I'm getting a notice from StreamYard that it's having a little bit of difficulty connecting. So if you're in a replay or if you're live, please say hello in the comments so I know you're watching. That's the only way we can talk while this is going live. But I don't want to keep you waiting because today I'm going to be real honest with you and share something that is very real in my life and something I have tackled. And I'd love to know if you can relate. So for me, one of my biggest fears throughout my entire adult life has been the fear of failure. Can you relate? Can you relate? Is something about failure like kind of make you like, oh, I don't know if I want to touch that. Well, for me, the fear of failure has been something that's come up multiple times in my career, and certainly kind of looms, right? When we have that fear, it kind of looms over us. And it was something I decided to tackle after going through cancer treatment. Because if you've been through cancer treatment, there's a whole lot to be afraid of when you're diagnosed with cancer. So I thought, you know what better time than now to really tackle a fear of failure? And so what I did, I signed up for this organization called First Descents, which is a nonprofit organization based out of Colorado that provides free adventure travel for any person under 40 who's been diagnosed with any type of cancer. So I went to the website, I signed up, I looked at all my trip options, and I was like, oh, which one of these scares me the most? And there was a lot of things on there that scared me. There was like surfing in places that I had never even stepped foot in the water before, or rock climbing, which I've also never done outside of a gym. Things like whitewater rafting in like a raft, whitewater kayaking. I think now they even offer things like ice climbing. I mean, just all this awesome adventure stuff that for some people really gets them going. And for me, I was like, ooh, I've never tried any of these things. So what should I do? Which one of these options should I do? So I went and looked down the whole list and I decided, you know what? I'm going to go with whitewater kayaking. It scares me, right? You're in a boat by yourself. I've never kayaked outside of like calm waters before. And it looks like a lot of fun, but it scares me to death. So we get there. I'm going to show you some pictures here. at LinkedIn, it looks like I have confirmed that you are going to be getting a replay of this broadcast. So LinkedIn, I apologize for that, but hope you'll comment once the replay is live. So let me show you. Here we are in Montana, and this is me right here in the boat. Let me tell you how I ended up here. You can see our whole group here on the water, but signed up for this whitewater kayaking, got accepted. We're all cancer survivors, cancer warriors here in this group. And as we're getting into our boats, we're heading down on the water. Our group leader says, all right, pause. I want to ask you guys something first. I want to know, what are you most afraid of as we get ready to go out on the water for the first time? I immediately raised my hand and I said, I'm afraid I'm going to flip upside down in this boat and I'm going to drown. I am going to drown in the calmest of waters in Montana because my boat's going to flip upside down and I'm not going to know how to get out. And he was like, great. All right, well, let's get in the water, get in your boat, and I'm going to show you what happens when you do that. So I was like, okay, so this is how I ended up where I was right here. And for those of you that have whitewater kayaks before, you know I'm in the rolling position where if I'm going under, right? Like, all right, just hang on and let the boat roll with you. So here I am getting ready to roll with the boat. They actually roll me. I'm the first person. No one else in our group has ever done this before. The first person to roll me all the way around. And then I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad. Like we showed a roll. And then, of course, for those of you who have whitewater kayaks before, you know there are multiple ways to either exit your boat or to roll your boat and to be able to come right side up again. And this was just the start of that conversation. But I had to share my fear in order to go through this process of learning how to overcome that fear, how to tackle that fear, how to really lean into it more and know what types of situations I may get myself into on the water. And then you can see, I just had to show you, I loved it. That was like one of the best weeks of my life, not only the people I was with, but also the things I learned about myself. But here's something else that I took away that week. I learned how to face a fear of failure. And I'm going to tell you the three things, the three-step process, I guess you can call it, the 3 S's that I learned to face failure. The first one is you have to be willing to show up. You got to show up, right? We might say we're afraid of something. I was afraid of whitewater kayaking when I looked at it on paper, but I had to show up in order to really tackle it, right? So you got to show up to tackle whatever it is you're afraid of. And then 2, you need to share how you're feeling. So often we keep it all inside. And if I had told them, or if I had not said, hey, I'm afraid of flipping my boat upside down and drowning on calm water, no one would have been able to read my mind, right? I wouldn't have been the first person to get to try that out and see that, okay, there's multiple ways I can tackle this situation if I get into it. So you got to share. So show up for whatever you're afraid of, and then share how you're feeling along the way. There are people that can help you when you share how you're feeling. And the third thing, you got to swim. You got to do it. You have to do the thing you're afraid of. So you're going to show up. You're going to share how you're feeling. You're going to fully communicate along the way, and then you're going to swim. And remember, I say swim. We're not going to wade. We're not going to put our pinky toe in the water and just see how the water feels. No, if we're going to tackle something we're afraid of, if we're going to jump into something we want to do but just aren't sure how to do it, we got to swim, right? And swimming can sometimes be messy. And sometimes the water's calm. Sometimes it's a little busy. Sometimes it's a little messy. But we got to swim. We got to keep going. And then finally, those are the 3 things for you. Show up, share, and swim. But then also we got to remember number 4, that bonus. We got to support others who are in the water with us, or others who want to join where we are and just aren't sure where to start. We got to support each other. And friends, right now in this world that we are just chaotically living in so many different ways, you can apply this wherever you are in your life, right? Show up for what you're afraid of Be willing to share how you feel. Be willing to swim, go all in with it, and then support others along the way. And don't assume based on your own circumstances that you know how other people are feeling, that you know exactly how to support them. I can tell you I had tons of women reach out to me each year who are also facing cancer. And certainly I can relate to how they're feeling because I felt that way in 2018 when I was diagnosed. But we're all living in different circumstances. So I can only support women where they are when they share with me how they're feeling and the things that they're doing. But their circumstances are always going to look different than my own. People who are facing a fear that maybe you've already faced or one you can relate to, the journey looks a little bit different for them. So let's support them wherever they are. Let's not make assumptions wherever they are. You're likely in a different place than them, and that's okay. Support them where they are. All right. So who's ready to face whatever they're afraid of today? Whatever it is. And maybe those of you joining us right now or those of you watching the replay on LinkedIn, maybe you're trying to have a conversation, a really serious conversation at work, or maybe there's something at work that you're a little bit afraid of. You're not exactly sure how to approach it. Let's apply it right now. You're going to show up. You're going to show up to work. You're going to show up and face that fear. Maybe it's a tough conversation with a peer or a supervisor. You're going to share with that person before you sit down with them, hey, I've really been dreading this conversation. I'm not exactly sure why, but I can tell you right now, like, I just feel a little uncomfortable. So I just wanted you to know that before we have this conversation. And then you're going to swim. You're going to have the conversation. You're going to have that uncomfortable situation. But you know, you're already going to have put it out there. You're not coming in with an ego. You're not coming in overly confident. You're coming in saying, this just doesn't feel comfortable. And you're going to swim. And then the next time you have a colleague or someone who needs to have an uncomfortable situation with you or maybe with someone else, you're going to support them and say, hey, I've been in those shoes before. I know how it feels. Or maybe you're going off on your own and for a business. Maybe you're trying something new that you're just not sure how it's going to pan out. Seek out the mentorship of other people. Share with them. Hey, I'm trying something new. I am really afraid of how this may or may not go. So can you help me out? And then swim, right? Jump all in. All right, friends. Well, I hope that has supported you today in facing your fear of failure. I would love to hear from you, jen@jenhoverstad.com, to provide any of your own insight. And certainly, I always love to hear, how did you face a fear of failure? What did you do? What would you do differently from what I shared? I would love to hear it. Share it in the comments or shoot me an email and let me know. Either way, I hope to see you here next week for Greater Than Live. Just short 15 minutes at 2:00 every Tuesday. And I look forward to hearing from you throughout the week. Have a wonderful afternoon. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Tell us a little bit more about the evolution of your career.
For the ripe old age of 24, I went into burnout. Now,
Oftentimes, being a double minority, you don't have the living room, locker room factor.
this because I tell folks, hey, you never know where your journey's going to take you.
I'd come from working at Accenture doing IT consulting.
Wow.
And this was really a humbling experience to make 150 cold calls every day.
The need is spectacular, and there's nobody doing it.
As a society, we don't give enough credit to these different experiences we have. We want to make everything make sense.
Am I going to be grateful for everything that I do have, or am I going to focus on everything that I don't have?
I love helping people to see a vision come to life, but is this the best way for me to help people?
And I was like, you know what? I don't think I should be unhappy like this.
Tough people are greater than tough times.
And not everything's going to make sense, and that's okay. To the point that you're saying is where we build on these things that happen to us in life. You are such a great example of that. So let's dig into your story a little bit more.